We go. Oh, there we are. Hello,
Oh,
everybody. That's all staying in. Whatever came through is
correct.
staying in. Welcome to another chaotic episode of the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm Andrew Dukowitz, and Benny Hughes making his Hitting the Hardwood contributor debut. Also writes for Canis Hoopus, but he's going to be doing some Wolves stuff for us over at Hitting the Hardwood. So how's it going, man?
I'm good. Yeah, no, that intro has a nice ring to it, man. Yeah, I'm excited to get going on hitting the hardwood stuff. But outside of that, man, exciting playoff game tonight. A lot happened that obviously we're gonna dive on into. But was in the building, and I'm sure as you felt it, good energy and a good win. So
I mean, I'm gonna ask you it straight up here. What was more surprising? Victor Wembanyama elbowing Nas in the throat, Anthony Edwards belly tapping the head coach of the Spurs after making a made three, or that Joe Ingles is telling people to fight in the locker room?
no, I think that Joe Ingles telling people to fight is definitely the least surprising thing out of all of that. I will say. But yeah, that was just absolutely insane. Because I mean, I feel like that I was texting with my friends. You know, obviously we're all watching the game, but we were in the building, and it was like, oh, I saw the elbow go, but I'm like, oh, I'm sure that it just was like kind of got caught. And you watch the replay, and it's like, oh no, like he saw him, he wound up, and he clocked him, and so. Completely warranted flagrant two. I don't think that you can really argue against that. Obviously, we can potentially talk about future implications. I don't think that there's going to be that many, if at all, any implications. But just insane, like in the replay of that in the building and being like, yeah, that was pretty bad. So
Yeah, I mean, I've never, like, we've seen Rudy get hit in the head 400 times, and we've also seen Cat elbow people in the head and Rudy elbow people in the head. Like, that was when they ran the slow-mo back, and it's like you can see him like look in the corner of his eye, and I think he
Mhm.
thought he would get Nas in the chest or something like that, but then he
Mhm.
forgot that 37 feet tall, and like an inch higher, that's like could be like a fractured jaw, and an inch lower, that could be like a broken windpipe. Like, that
Right.
was scary.
Yeah, legitimately. Did you see the clip of like Dylan Harper in the background
Yeah.
too? Just like that did make me laugh. But no, you're totally right. That was like very unsafe in a very like precarious area. Like you said, like he could have broke his nose. He could have done a lot of different things, and just the wind up on it was just even more insane to me. And honestly, I don't care how physical you claim that like any other player was against you. And like I don't know, I feel like I saw some of those clips floating around on Twitter of like, well, he did it because of this, and it's like no, nothing should warrant that. Like I don't think
Yeah.
that any you can't really argue that. I don't care like how many times like any physical playoff basketball happens. That's not warranted ever. So
And I mean, like what's kind of crazy is again, like you can kind of see in the slow-mo that there was, like, the ref said it right, there was like wind up and intent. Like, you could tell
yep.
he was like, I'm gonna get somebody with an elbow, which, like,
Mhm.
dudes step on each other's feet, guys, like, punch each other in the thigh. Like, there's stuff like that that goes on in every play, but like to wind up like that and just almost decapitate somebody is
Mhm.
insane, which pack mentality brings up kind of what you were hinting at, of like the San Antonio coach even coming out being like, yeah, I'm happy he did it, in that,
Yeah.
paraphrasing of course, but like
Right.
kind of
Right.
sounding like he was okay with that because there was so much physicality, which I don't know if you have any other thoughts on it, but that in and of itself is wild.
Yeah, I saw that come out after the fact, and like I don't know, I guess like I can kind of get the sentiment to it. It's like I'm glad he finally stood up for himself, but again, like that's never warranted. You should never be allowed to do that because like it kind of checked all the boxes of like what you think
Yeah.
of when you think of like an over the top flagrant two foul, right? There was intent. It was at least in some way premeditated as much as it can be in that
Hmm.
exact situation of like being bang bang. Obviously, the slow mo is going to make it look worse than in real time, but there was intent, there was wind up, and there was follow through in an area that was not okay to get hit in. So
I mean, King, we're not accusing Rudy or Wemby of having CTE, but like, I guess you never know. I mean, what's crazy to me too is this was Wemby's first ever ejection. Like, he's never been ejected. Like, he's fouled out, but never ejected.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't cover the Spurs, so I'm not going to pretend to know like what Wemby's temperament is. But from afar, he just doesn't seem like the type of player that would do that type of stuff, which I mean, Sia brings it up of just like who gets credit for the meltdown, because it did seem like it was kind of a immaturity meltdown type of thing, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, I guess maybe that's just something to do with like the wear and tear of like the playoffs, right? And he hasn't experienced this physicality. Like, this is his second real playoff series, and in the first round, like, all due respect to Portland, but they weren't bringing it like Wolves are, and that they have been for the entirety of the playoffs. And that's what the Wolves do, right? Like, that's what they want to do, is they want to incite that physicality. They want to make that their game, especially their defensive style, and especially like with a guy like that, where like that's pretty much like the tried and true method of like, if you get physical with Wemby, like we saw it even in the regular season. Like, everyone remembers those fourth quarter clips of Julius Randle just kind of getting into him and digging down, and like that is the way. And obviously sometimes that physicality goes over the top, and that they call fouls for that. I mean, Wemby's got his fair share of calls because of that physicality, but again, never warranted to have something like that happen and have an elbow fly and, you know, potentially like injure a guy. And I also just felt bad for Nas too, because then again, the next play he gets smacked in the face again, and his like mouth guard is like flying across the court, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like, jeez, are you like someone get that guy in like a full body ice bath or something? Where's his hyperbaric chamber or whatever?
He might be having a sleepover at Rudy's today. Who knows?
Yeah, right. Honestly, right. Exactly. So,
I mean, he is dealing with a shoulder issue that I'm sure after the season comes out, we're going to figure out like what that is. Like, it'll come out, whether it was kind of like what I've been conspiracy theory thinking, like a subflex shoulder that pops in and out of socket, or whether it's like a tendon or rotator thing, like that will come out at some point in this off season. But then he's also like sprained his ankle like 3 times in the playoffs already. He gets throat punched. He gets hit in the head quite a bit. He just doesn't like Rudy. When he gets hit in the head, it is a very big person getting hit in the head. So it's like, that guy got hit in the head. Nas, I feel like kind of blends into the crowd a little bit more. I mean, it's just the toughness that guy is playing through. God. I would not be able to do it.
No, me neither, right? Pain is weakness leaving the body. And, you know, we're on camera right now, so I'll show off my shirt quick. I'm just hyping my man up, you know. We got to do it. The Parkway Pizza. So I had to bust it out to show him some love tonight. But yeah, pain's weakness leaving the body, man. What a tough son, dude. Like, just dealing with all he's been dealing with, and like being largely awesome since like maybe the first 2 games of the Denver series, first 3 games.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like this whole series, he's been like pretty close to their best player. Maybe that's like a bit of a stretch, but I feel like every game I've come out of it and, you know, walking the game and look at the box score, it's like, holy, like Nas at 18 tonight. Like, whoa. All right. And just the rebounding, and he had a bunch of assists tonight, especially down the stretch, like when they absolutely needed it, like in clutch time. He assisted on that and 3 to put him up. He assisted one to Rudy right at the end of the game, and he got the O board right down the stretch to finish that. To come up 7 with 30 seconds left, which, you know, probably should have sealed it more than it did, but still, like, just like props to him, man. Just like tough as nails, coming out and still performing like at a high level.
I mean, again, the story that John Krasinski is going to write about Naz Reid after the season, of all of the things that dude has had to go through, is going to be an incredible read, because like it just like all that stuff will come out, and just the amount of pain. Like, we talk about Ant a lot because knees, and like I think it's more visible, but Nas is just, he's gutting it out too. And 6 of 12, 15 points tonight, 2 offensive rebounds, 7 total or 9 total, 4 assists, only 1 turnover. Like, they don't win it without Nas, which awesome.
And over 4 of 3, like didn't even have to hit one, you know, like he was just like getting his. And obviously like he probably benefited a lot from like Wemby being out, because they pretty much kind of decided down the stretch they didn't really want to play Luke Cornett anymore. Like I feel like obviously he got some minutes in third and actually played all right. I feel like when he's out there, but they decided to go like ultra small ball and like he's just going right up over the top. But which is really cool too. And he's just always kind of had that, especially like the last couple of years. I feel like he's kind of transformed that of, I have a guard on me, like I'm just going to do this little floater right over the top of him, and I'm a threat here. So cool to see, but also just interesting when you're watching the lineups out there of like the Spurs small ball compared to the Wolves small ball, of how much bigger the Wolves are than they are, even though we're playing our quote unquote small ball. So that was just an interesting thing tonight of like,
as soon as Wemby got, I'm just going to add some context here of just like, as soon as Wemby got ejected, Luke Cornett was the only player over 6'7". Like everyone they played outside of Luke Cornett was 6'6" or shorter, which is like, that's just an insane that they have to go to that. Cause you're not playing Plumlee. You're not throwing Bismack Biyombo in there. Harrison Barnes was not good in his minutes. Like it is legitimately, it was kind of, I mean, part of this is like, of course, the Wolves are going to let this Spurs team hang around the entire game. And like, we've seen this enough this season of just, this is kind of what this team does. But also like the fact that the Spurs hung around for as long as they did was super impressive, but continue to cook, sir.
No, that was great. No, I appreciate it all. But yeah, I was getting into some Julius talk, but also like Dylan Harper. Yeah, that dude was balling too. Like I was pissed off watching the game because I'm like, dude, stop it. God, why is this guy so good for being 19 years old? Like, dude, chill out. But yeah, all three of those guards were really awesome. Fox was getting to any spot he wanted to, especially in the third quarter. Like that's and like even to start the fourth, and luckily the Wolves stand up their defense, but. I mean, just watching the game and watching the flow of it, like Fox was getting bucket after bucket. It was like, how are we going to match this? Like how are the Wolves going to punch back on that? And also not only punch back, but like they had to overcome that, right? Like they couldn't just go shot for shot with them. They had to find a way to overcome that and push past it. So, just kind of bouncing off the chat right there. But yeah.
As King of Biggie says, and Brandon says, gotta dump off or dust off Kelly Olynyk. Like, yeah, I mean, if that's what the Spurs playoff hosts are hosting on is late career Kelly Olynyk, that's a tough place to be, I think. I guess I do want to ask you though, like, do you think there will be any like more ramifications for this? I mean, I think you look at Wemby, he's only been kicked out of one game his entire career. And like he got kicked out of the entire game. Like I think if this happens in the fourth quarter, maybe there's a chance. But like, where are you kind of sitting at? Like, does this get further suspension?
Yeah, I would bet against it. Like I would say it's like a very low percentage chance. I saw some like rumblings on Twitter saying like the NBA was going to take a look at it. I'd be pretty shocked. And I think that's good context to make of like if it happened late in the fourth quarter and like the game was maybe not decided yet, but like closer to being decided. But I mean, it was like 8:40 left in the second quarter, he got ejected. That's basically the whole game. I think it was a 2-point game at that point. So he basically got, not suspended, but like he was out the whole game. And so that changed the entire complexion of that game and probably was a large reason why the Wolves were able to win it. Or at least in a way of like, it helped. It definitely didn't hurt the Wolves to not have him out there. Did I do the negatives correct there? You know what I mean?
You are. I'm just laughing. King of B says, are the Wolves really going to Mr. Magoo their way to the Western Conference final again? Certainly seems like it. Like
we wake up and
they
it just
are the most like the perfect example of this team is like in the locker room, Jace Frederick asks like a really good question about like the Wolves' height advantage and size advantage against the Spurs. And Rudy like starts snickering like a little kid and then says like, well, they say size matters, and I really think size matters. And like everybody kind of chuckles because like penis joke. And then Nas from the other corner of the locker room, the only other guy in the room, is just like, whoa. And then everyone starts laughing again. And then Rudy like doubles down. He's like, I truly believe that, completely seriously. And then Jace just like yells at Nas, like, why do you do this? And Nas is like, he's goofy. And it's just like, that's this team. They're the most like laid back, weird family of people that I've ever been around. Like it's certainly weirder, more dysfunctional and weirder than last season, but they're arguably better.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that is just funny of like, yeah, if you want to take that like as a microcosm of like, just like, you know, they're the most laid back, where it's like to the point of like, you know, I mean, they probably didn't take it as seriously as they could have, especially in the third quarter tonight. Like, and we've seen that be an issue like all season long. And if they drop that game, that's probably a huge narrative that comes out of tonight. But it also like gives you the faith of like, oh, they lost by 38. Yeah, I don't really care. I think the next game they're gonna come out and be fine. You know what I mean? Like it's like a double-edged sword in that way, where you know it's agonizing sometimes, but it's also like, you know, just the ability to bounce back and just like come back around and being like, yeah, no, today's a new day. I'm fine. We're fine. Like we're gonna come back out and give it our all, and we think we're gonna win it. So it's a good thing, but then it's also can be agonizing when, you know, it's the middle of February and you're down by 12 points to the Grizzlies with 8 minutes left in the game. So,
I mean, I can't remember who said it, but someone on Twitter, like I posted a video of like them joking around the locker room after a loss to the media. And someone on Twitter just goes, maybe I should take this team less seriously when they lose because it's affecting my mental health. And I think I take it more seriously than they do. And I was like, yeah, you probably do. Like these guys are just like, all right, we'll watch film tomorrow. Finch will yell at us. And once we get to the playoffs, we'll just transform into the best defense in the league and scrape by. I do want to talk Julius Randle at some point here. I also, I don't know, we should probably talk about like Jaden and Ant being nuclear. But first, let's go to an ad read. And then when we come back, we'll get into it more. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. To highlight this comment here because Natalie hops in on YouTube. First, hey, the Timberwolves deserve what they get. They talk a lot of hope that hurt him good. You said the Nuggets played no defense. Now you get defense and you're crying over an elbow. I am going to agree with you. First off, this Wolves team talks incessantly. Like if you watch them on the court, everyone on the team except for like Mike and potentially Rudy sometimes is talking under their breath and like trash talking constantly. And they are also very brash and super frustrating. I will say, hope Nas isn't like seriously injured. I don't hope for anyone to get injured. And I don't think they're like crying over defense. I think they like the vibe in the locker room was they legitimately like enjoyed this game. Like if if they could play every game this physical, I think they'd be fine with it. But like, if you're a Spurs fan or a Nuggets fan, like, it has to be infuriating that you can like blow a team out by 38 and they're still trash talking in the fourth quarter down 35. So like, I do think, when they get knocked out of the playoffs, sometimes there is a little bit of like, yeah, you guys kind of deserve it. Not the injuries though. Benny, I guess any thoughts on that from you?
Yeah, they definitely do talk, but I think that should be like appreciated, I think, because I think that we get so many like even fans of teams that are just the biggest front runners of all time. Like they win a game and they talk, lose a game, it's silence, right? It's crickets. And I think that should be something that's like really appreciated about this team is that no matter what happens, whether they get their ass kicked or they're doing the ass kicking, they're going to come back and they're going to talk, right? Then they're going to show up and they're going to play the exact same way, whether they get their ass kicked or they're doing the ass kicking. And I thoroughly appreciate that. And I think, honestly, in my personal opinion, if you want to get me fired up about this, the people that talk only when they're up are soft. They're soft.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I don't like it at all, and that's why I always really loved I loved that in the first round. Lose game 5, Jaden's still like, yeah, we're gonna win the next one. I'm sitting here, I'm taking all these questions, I'm taking all the smoke, I'm not ducking it, and I'm gonna take it all, no matter what. So I don't know. I'm sure, yeah, they do talk a lot of shit, but they also back it up in the sense of they're not gonna stop just because you think they should.
Again, the epitome of that, and I don't have like the plays or box score up or anything like that, but Ant hits a 3 in the fourth quarter, and it was like still pretty close game. He hit it from like the right corner and literally belly taps the head coach of the Spurs on his way back on defense.
Man.
And it's just like, yup. That of course if they were down 2, he would have belly tapped the head coach of the Spurs. Like, of course he's going to do that because like that's just the identity of this team is like very charming trolls almost.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just wild.
Well, there was the clip of Ant after game 5 against OKC last year, and he's like, "Man, they kicked our ass, but that's fine. We're gonna be back though. I don't care." Like it's not like he just doesn't switch up. Like he is authentic. And I just think that's something that should be appreciated. He's not doing it for the cameras, man. Like this is just who he is. Like he's going to do it no matter what. So
Ant, I'll just highlight that quickly. 36 points on 22 shots, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, did have 4 turnovers and 5 fouls if you want to like get nitty about it, but he's also the only, like, they don't even come close to this one if Ant just doesn't go nuclear in the fourth quarter. Played 40 minutes as well on Mother's Day, which like Chris Hine, who wrote the book on Ant, asked him the question about like Mother's Day and like if Yvette was on his mind today, and like that's also poetic of like the guy that wrote the book on him gets to ask him that type of question. Like that's just the things in life that are just like, oh, that's cool. But I guess like any thoughts on Ant, just like in general, phenomenal game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I think you can talk about like the X's and O's of it, and obviously it was really awesome to see him have the lift on the jumper and attack the drop coverage with the pull-up threes, and then kind of like build his game off of that, and still just like go to the rim. But like I think at times we just got to zoom out and just appreciate like just the intangible of Anthony Edwards of like, this is like legendary stuff that he's doing right now. Like I'm not talking like all-time great whatever, but it's like he comes back from an injury that should have had him sidelined for what, maybe close to a month, and generally would, in 9 days. He comes back for game 1 after missing 2 games after they took down the Nuggets and kind of just like completely took it to him on that, and he wasn't even on the bench because he is rehabbing from this injury. And he comes back for game 1. Yeah, like he wasn't like didn't necessarily look awesome. Like he comes off the bench game 1, still 8 of 13, 18 points. But like these last 2 games, man, like even though they lost last one, it's like this is superhuman stuff that we'll be talking about for the rest of our lives. Of like, hey, remember that? Remember when that happened? Like that's unreal. Like this is like NBA Wolves lore stuff that is like sometimes I think that sports can like transcend like the X's and O's and like the box score stuff. And if you really do zoom out, like this is pretty fucking cool. Excuse my French, Mr. Gobert.
The
But
French is warranted.
yeah, like
I,
I can't say enough.
I mean, again, the three that he belly taps the head coach of the Spurs on, which like I'm never gonna forget that. That was the most like insane things I've ever seen in my life. Of like, he's double teamed, he should pass the ball, and he's just like, nope, three, and then on his way back is just tap tap, walks back, like runs back on defense. Like that's something I'll remember forever, and that's like the stuff with Ant. That's just. It's insane. Again, he doesn't have any good knees. Like he's doing this without knees.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Like again, 36-6, like that's awesome. But I'm more just like this the feeling it invokes that I think that we should all revel in, no matter how far this run goes. It's like this is special stuff and pretty hollowed ground that he's walking on right now. And we get to all appreciate this as fans of the team. Of like that's our guy, right? And we're propping him up and we're cheering for him, but we know that this is not normal. Like I just can't stress that enough. This isn't normal.
I know.
And you should feel awesome about it. And you should like really feel like a human level of appreciation of like just what he's doing right
now. I mean, again, just to tie a bow on it, the dude is doubled the second he crosses half court, almost every possession. The entire Spurs game plan is don't let Anthony Edwards beat us. And he drops 36 in a playoff game, which like, yes, Wemby didn't play, but like it still is insane. Like it is insane. All right, let's get into well, Steve, you have a quick question here.
Yes,
what do you think the Spurs are doing to affect the shooting of Julius, Jaden, and Io? I think when Wemby's out there, they're just freaked out. Like we talked to Jaden about it at practice the other day, and he's like, yeah, it's super weird to have another human being that can like actually contest my shots. So I think there is some of it where they're just like freaked out that there's a 97-foot tall monster in the paint. Today was just weird. Like Io, 3 of 12, like not a good night. Jaden 6 of 15 is fine. Julius has just been on like an all-time cold streak. So I think part of it is just Wemby. Like I think just talking to these guys, like it legitimately does kind of like, whoa, that is something I've never seen in my life playing basketball. And then, I mean, there is just, dudes get hot, dudes get cold. To get onto the Julius conversation, though, as everybody has brought up that Julius has got to go, and I believe there's people in the chat that are trading him for Cheetos. I would maybe want like a full vending machine refill and not just the Cheetos, but like I mean, I guess I'll just kind of pose you the question. I mean, 6 turnovers tonight. If you look at like his playoffs, he has about a 0.5 assist to turnover ratio. He's not shooting really good in this series. I should say a 0.5 assist to turnover ratio against the Spurs, not the entire playoffs. But like, what do you think it has been?
Yeah, no, that's also a really awesome question. I feel like round one, even without Aaron Gordon, I feel like that they were kind of like putting things towards him to try to stop him. And then this round, it's been like this round doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because in theory, if you just look at the roster, like when I was doing my prep for this series, I was like, Julius should cook. And like I get that Wemby's at the rim, but like he's got the little mid-range jumper, like we were talking about when Wemby's out, the tallest guy they play is like 6'7". Randle's got like 20, 30 pounds on all of those guys, and he's taller. So it's like you should be able to get to that little mid-range shot whenever he wants, but it's just been like he hasn't been able to get into his bully ball bag all that much. He hasn't been able to kind of overpower guys, which he's honestly should have been able to do these last 2 rounds. And then everything, it looks indecisive. And then even when he does decide to do something, it feels like it's the wrong decision. And so it's just been kind of interesting to watch of like, we know that he's susceptible to like the double teams that come from his blind spot. Right. And then they just kind of like come and poke the ball away. But it just feels like that everything is just discombobulated for him right now. And even though in theory he should be able to get to his spots, especially in this series, more so than the last one, I would even say, it just feels like that, like he just cannot get a handle on the ball and cannot find something that he wants to go to again and again. There's just nothing repeatable about what he's doing. And it's just been bad all around, honestly.
And like Brandon brings up Brendan, I'm guessing it's Brendan, not Brandon, brings up a good point of like Castle has been outstanding on Ant and Julius. Like I think Castle's kind of broken Julius's brain.
Yep.
Like Julius looks at Castle and I'm sure it's like, I'm 3 inches taller than you and I have 35 pounds on you. I'm just going to back you down. And Castle is just, he's awesome. It reminds me a lot of like, and I'm trying to think how long it was the Cat series when they played Houston in the first round. Jimmy Butler was on this team,
2017,
and
18.
they just just put Harden on Cat, and we're just like, there you go. And Cat, I want to say, had like 2 offensive fouls each of the 5 games, and Harden just completely broke his brain of just like, I should be able to get through this dude. He's a foot smaller than I am, but I think part of it's Castle. I think the other thing is just like, I think Julius is just in a funk. Like, I don't know if it's like a shooting funk. I don't know if it's all the trade rumors like messed with his head, but like he just doesn't look like the same guy from the first 2 months of the season.
Yep. He's just not getting to the right spots on offense. I feel like there's been a couple comments that have like completely talked about it, right? Like he does too much when he has the ball. You have to do the simple things to make everything work. It just kind of feels like that whenever like the ball ends up in his hands, like it's not in a spot where you're like, oh yeah, I like when Julius has the ball there. Because there are spots. Like there are spots that when you see Julius have the ball there, you're like, okay, I feel like he has a good chance at scoring. So I just don't think he's getting it there. And then it almost feels like possessions die when he gets the ball. And so whether it be like he passes it a little bit too late, he doesn't keep the ball moving, or he kind of just takes a shot again that you don't really feel fully comfortable with him taking. So, but yeah, that is a good point about like putting the smaller guy, smaller quote unquote. Steph Castle is really strong, obviously, and you're right. Like he has done an awesome job on both Ant and Julius. He's a great defender. So, I think you're right. He's just like, it's just indecisiveness, and he just feels like he's just like not getting to the spots he needs to get to. So.
And that's what Finch said after the game tonight too. Chip Scoggins from the Star Tribune asked him like, hey, Julius had 6 turnovers. Like, what are you kind of seeing out of that? And he was just like, it's taking too long on his decisions is kind of the essence of what his answer was, which like checks out. Like, I think that's what you're saying. I think that's what a lot of people are seeing. And when he takes too long and that like double or that half double comes, he just gets stripped, which the issue I guess is just like, you can't not play Julius. Like you look at what Finch did today, he really only played 7 guys, like TJ and Mike. I think you can combine as like one guy with their 30 minutes. And I don't think you can just go Kyle or Johan at this point. So it's just kind of like Julius just has to play better, which that's a horrible place to be, admittedly, when you're a player, a coach, a team, anything. Like when you're just saying like, this dude has to play better. You typically don't like it. But also Julius is like a very kind of like with the rest of the guys on this team where like, I also wouldn't be surprised if he drops 30 on Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. And so like, that's kind of what you gotta hope for, but it is a tough spot to be if you're like, oh yeah, I don't know. Do you ever listen to like the dunker spot with like guys, Steve Jones? They always say like pressing the do better button, which I just like think is really funny and I use in my daily life. But you're right, and that's never really a spot you want to be of like having to press that button, because then it's like, okay, then what steps do we need to take to do better? And it's like sometimes you're like, well, I don't know, and it's like, well, wait, I feel like that we should have tangible things that we can do to do better. But at this point, it's like I really don't know what that would be for Julius right now, and like maybe it's just like luckily there's guys working on that are smarter than I am, that are smarter than you and I are, but which is good, good thing. But again, I just wish
Pablo
that there was
a lot of wrinkles on that brain, like very smart.
Totally for it. Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I'll put my trust in Pablo, but at the same time, it's like I can't even think of really anything tangible that I would personally have like do in order to try to kind of get him out of this and get him back on the right track. So
honestly, same. Like I I wrote a piece of like, I think the Wolves need to just go small in this series and kind of like force Wemby into space. And I asked Julius, like, like you're normally on the block or on the nail or like bullying people into the lane, has like this spread offense kind of messed with you? And he was just like, no, I honestly really like playing in space because it gives me more angles. And it's like, okay, well, because if it's just like Julius isn't comfortable playing out of the corner, that's like, that's your problem. Stop that.
That's a different
but like
thing.
when Julius and Finch are both like, no, he actually kind of likes doing the space thing and like having like a runway to put the ball down, and it's like, okay, well, how do we do that better? Because he's gonna get guarded by Castle again. And I'm in the same place of you of just like I've really tried to rack my brain on it of just he just needs to make quicker decisions, which is so much easier said than done.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Like, it's easy for us to sit here, talking about it and be like, oh yeah, he just needs to do it faster. It's like, yeah, obviously it's way harder to do that. But yeah, I agree with you in that, especially tonight when they matched the small ball looks, and like, again, the Wolves small ball is way bigger than the Spurs small ball. And like the numbers do bear out that obviously like the Julius Nas front court pairing is really good offensively, just for the whole team. But it's just kind of interesting because in theory, like that should make Randle himself better. And I feel like they're only going to those lineups to make the team offense better. Or at least that's been the benefit. It's not been for him, which in theory it should be for him and the team, but it's been just to have like not Rudy out there, so that the offense can function more smoothly and more in that kind of 5-out. So that's just like a tough spot to be, because again, they do have to go to that lineup in order to have these kind of boomlets of offense, and especially with Wemby out, if you really want to like press the pedal down, as they needed to do, especially in that fourth quarter after kind of putting up a dud of a third quarter, like they needed to score points. So they had to have that lineup out there. But again, it wasn't for Julius himself; it was more for the betterment of the offense as a team.
Yeah. And I mean, Julius moving forward, again, people were trading him for Cheetos earlier and are still kind of saying like, pack mentality. Julius never runs back. King of B driving into crowds, throwing the ball out, losing it. I mean, I do think that's probably the biggest lever. And I feel like you and me specifically have talked about this every time we've had a post game together of Julius being traded at some point. But like that, short of winning a championship, that's the lever this team's gonna have to pull, which, that's probably the next. It's funny because like every offseason, I feel like we've, as like a Wolves writing and reporting group, have been like, this is going to be the most consequential offseason, and like what they do is going to resonate for years. Like, honestly, this Julius trade could really matter. Like, if they mess it up, then it's just Ant, Jaden, Nas, and Io. And if they hit it out of the park, maybe it's Ant, Jaden, Nas, Io, and another guy. But I do get the feeling that there is going to be a pivot this offseason, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And what's interesting about it, and I feel like that was still a conversation last year, of like last offseason to trade him. And again, I think that there was like good reason for why the extension like did happen. And it is honestly a good extension for the player that he is, I think. But they just, when you kind of look at the books and kind of who was available and what was going on last season with the salary cap and everything like that 100% makes sense to re-sign him. Where was I going with this point? Man, I just completely slipped my mind. I had a whole point. I had a whole thing I was building towards. It was going to be awesome.
When you remember it, I'll let you cap it off.
Okay.
Brendan brings up here of like, even if they win the title, you trade.
Can you imagine?
I will say, one of my favorite teams to watch of all time is that Dallas Mavericks team that won the title in 2011, and they let Tyson Chandler walk. I would argue he was the second most important player on that championship run, and they let him walk, and they weren't the same afterwards. That was more of like you don't want to burden yourself down with like a 32-year-old center that's had injury issues, but like Tim's usually thinking pretty far ahead.
Yeah.
Steve Hartman brings up real quick, just the plus minus is controversial. Julius Randle was plus 12 and Dylan
I
Harper was
did see
minus
that.
14.
Yeah. Do you think that told the story of how they played in that game?
I think plus minus how I use it. I generally look at it of like, if it matches the eye test, I will use it.
Yeah,
And if
I
it
agree.
doesn't, I will throw it away. Net rating's usually a little bit better, but like even net rating, if you get on a heater for like 3 minutes, your net rating can go through the roof. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
King of B agrees, even if they win the championship, I say trade them. Pack mentality. Can't have him anymore. Farah, I think Tim Connolly knew when he re-signed Julius, he was a stopgap until the Wolves a better fit becomes available. Like I kind of agree with you, Farah. Like I do think, they got him on a very good contract. I think that's very much like what Julius is worth. Mm-hmm. I think if you look at like his contract value and you go down Basketball Reference, it's still hard to find like guys that are as valuable as him. But honestly, like with how Jaden has played in the playoffs, with how Naz has played in the playoffs, maybe you do just look for a better fit and not necessarily a different all-star next to Ant.
Yeah.
Which I know everyone's going to bring up Kyrie in the chat. So I'm just going to get ahead of that. Yes, that is also technically an option, but continue, Benny.
That is on the table. That you saying the Naz Reid part spurred my point of what I remembered. So
this is going to be the best cap off.
Are you ready? I think that, again, like it was a good contract to re-sign him. You preserve the salary slot at the very least. Obviously, get a good player for that number. But I think it was harder to make that pivot at the end of last season because Naz really didn't have a good playoffs at all, right? And so just kind of having the proof of concept from this season, and especially if Naz continues to play well for however long this run goes, like you have a little bit more of like a ground to stand on of like, okay, Naz can work in a playoff setting. And again, like he had some good games even over the last couple of years, but I think that like all of us can say like there was definitely some that was left to be desired. But I also don't think that they would have paid Naz that contract if they were intending to keep him coming off the bench for the entirety of it. So yeah, that was
and point. Like, no, I that was worth it because I think a lot of people would agree with you. Like, you're not paying Naz that type of money to be a bench player for the next 5 years. Like, there had to have been some expectation that they're going to make a pivot. And honestly, like these playoffs, I think Rudy has shown that he's still really impactful. I mean, I know a lot of times when we're talking about like Rudy or trade assets, it's like get off of the asset before the value decreases. But again, like this team makes sense if it's next year they come into the season with Io, Ant, Jaden, Naz, Rudy as your starters, and then you move Randle for a couple pieces. I mean, you can. It's shitty because it's sports, but like you can pair Randle and Dante together and throw TJ in there and trade for a max contract. Still, like I think I'm more sold on like the Io, Ant, Jaden, Naz like foursome moving forward though than I thought I would have been like when that Io trade came down. Like I honestly just want to see that play out next season.
Yeah, I like the Io archetype next to Ant because I think like I like that he can get all the way to the rim and finish, and obviously maybe now is probably a controversial time to say that because he hasn't done it a lot this series. You talk about the injury, you can talk about the alien on the other team that's that's doing a little bit maybe to impact that. But I like that that he has that in his bag too of like I'm comfortable with him being, if Ant's getting doubled, of him being like the first the guy one pass away that's taking it to the rim and playing that full on thing. So yeah, I'm in the same boat as you though, for sure.
I like continuity, which is fun. Like selfishly, as someone who covers a basketball team, it is very nice to be able to go in and the people that you're covering like know what your angle is. It's you know what I mean? Like I ask a lot of like more vulnerable questions or like kind of joking questions or like fan-led questions. Like it takes people a few months to figure that out, that's like, oh, that's Andrew, he asks the weird shit. And like, I don't want to do that with like 8 more people next season. Like, let's just keep it the same, right? I do think like that group of 4 really intrigues me. And like, if you keep Rudy, the defense probably stays pretty elite. And then it's the depth of this team again, right? Like, they don't technically, if they move on from Randle, you don't technically have to trade Dante. You could keep him, keep him on ice, give Clark and TJ more opportunity. You probably need a backup point guard next year, even if Mike is coming back. Like, but I would assume they bring Bones back because everyone really likes him and he's shown improvement. So it's like, at that point, are you like, they could pivot and just say like, hey, we want some really good role players and picks and get Randall shipped off someplace else, which that's a weird place to be, especially where we've been talking about all season.
Right. I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've been on since the Dante thing happened, but I just gotta say, that just broke my heart, man. Oh,
yeah.
God. I just had to put that in. I just had to put that out there on the record. So yeah.
He got hurt, and like where I was sitting, like you could see it pretty perfectly. And you see like Jaden go to help like lift him up, and Dante like wave him off and like scream over to the sideline. And then like the first replay comes back, you see the like calf pop. Yep. And like, when I tell you, like, I was literally sick to my stomach, it's not because like the calf pop grossed me out. Like, I see gross stuff in my day job every time. Like that, it's not that issue. It was literally just like, he's such a good dude. Like, he's always super kind. He like takes time to say good morning and hello to everybody, works with rescues, like just is like, oh man, this guy, like out of all the dudes that can blow a Achilles, like this guy, I don't want anyone to have it happen to, but like, don't have it happen to the nice person.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I didn't deserve that.
Real quick before we get out of here, JG says Psycho Wemby is coming next game. You barely won without him tonight. Yep, no arguments there. They barely won without him tonight, and that was a very Wolves-ish thing to do. Followed by a lot of alien emojis, so I appreciate that.
Got some Spurs fans in the chat, man.
King of Beach says Rudy came in locked in. Sebastian says, I have a question. Doesn't Wemby need to have 2 flagrant 2s to be suspended? Yes, that's technically the rule, although they can suspend people if there's like more, if they deem it was like more than worth the game he got kicked out of. So like, again, if it was like the last minute of the 4th quarter, sometimes you'll see a guy get suspended. I expect him to be back. I honestly kind of hope he doesn't get suspended, because like this series has been like food for my soul. Pack mentality, keep Dante, Ryan, Wolves and sick. Pack mentality, heartbreaking, and he goes everywhere with this team. King of B. And no more Joe, who we'll finish it off where it starts. Mike Conley did confirm that Joe is the evil devil on people's shoulders. Where Mike's telling them to calm down, Joe is egging them on. All right. Benny, I plugged you earlier with Canis Hoopus and Hitting the Hardwood contributor, but anything else? Where can people find you? What do you got going on?
How are you? For sure. I'm just great. No, I'm excited to get going on the Hitting the Hardwood stuff. Still kind of figuring all that out. So we'll see when stuff kind of comes about. But if you wanna keep an eye out on that, you can always follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, Benny _Hughes. I haven't really tweeted much this playoff run, man. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. The Twitter fingers have not been firing the last couple of weeks, but enjoying some hoops. Usually have my thoughts there. Obviously, I always try to post some stuff. Probably have some link stuff coming up this summer too, for Canis, at the very least. Awesome. So probably we'll definitely have some of that too. So but yeah, excited to watch some more playoff hoops, man, because super fun 2-2 best of 3 series, man. Like let's run it up, ball up top, let's do it, you know.
I just want it to go 7.
Me
Like
too, man.
I would like the Wolves to advance just because, like, personally for my career wise, not for my mental health. Like, covering 2 basketball teams has been terrible, but I'll sleep later. But like career wise, it's great having the Wolves in the playoffs. I just want this series to go forever. Like, it is just so fun.
Yep.
It's so weird. Like, it's just, this is the basketball fans deserve. For people that joined into this a little bit late, this does get posted over on YouTube and on my X, Missing Wolves for Wolves, Missing Links for the Links. I have to say that now since they're both coming out at roughly at the same time. And this will come out on the Missing Wolves podcast streams tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on May 11th. We will be back after game 5. I believe Steve Hartman, who's been hanging out in the chat, is going to be my guest for game 5. There's also a Lynx game on Tuesday, so we are going to have a Lynx post game with Hayden Siley from the Mercury Beat to talk Alyssa Thomas and all of that fun stuff. But somehow we're going to have 2 live streams. It's going to be great.